So I spend a lot of time talking about all the things that I love about the H2, but I haven't really talked about some of the things that I would change if I could. So that's what this video is for. And I think there's about four main things that I would have liked to have been different. Starting with the first is the weight. It is a little heavy at 525 pounds wet, meaning full of fuel. It's in Busa territory. It's in ZX14 territory. And that's heavy. And the big contributor to the weight is the exhaust system. The exhaust system weighs about 40 pounds. The canister alone is about 18 pounds. And I believe the rest of the weight is about 15 pounds coming from the supercharger. If you take both of those out of the equation, then the weight of the bike is competitive. But as is, it's a little bit heavy. I think it would have been nice for Kawasaki to put a titanium canister on it as standard. I mean, especially at this price point, 26,000 MSRP, they should have been able to produce a titanium canister, but they didn't. In any event, that is the first item. The second thing that I would have liked to have seen done differently is the rear shock unit is not ride height adjustable. And in case you're wondering, being able to adjust the ride height allows you to play with the geometry. And this is particularly important for those of us that like to do track days. Maybe at some places you want to jack up the rear to get quicker turn in. Or maybe you want to lower it to get more stability, especially when driving out of corners. So it's not ride height adjustable. Now, to work around that, you can play with the height of the tire. Maybe throw on a slick, a 195/65 racing slick, or a DOT race tire that probably runs a 190/60 profile if you need something taller. But it would be nice to fine tune the settings when you're not running the race tires. Maybe you're running a regular street tire or whatever. Or maybe you throw on the slick, but you don't want so much ride height with the taller profile tire and you want to drop it back down. So that would have been nice as well. The third item is that this thing is a gas guzzler. It averages about 19 to 20 miles per gallon, and maybe 21 miles per gallon when I'm cruising on the highway. It's like an SUV. And I guess that's the trade-off when you're compressing so much air into the motor. It just eats gas. The next thing is that it eats tires. With so much horsepower, it will chew up rear tires. And, with only a few hundred miles, the center of my back tire is pretty chewed up. So I guess that's a side effect of having so much horsepower. Maybe that one's not so bad. You can't have it all. But, it'd be nice to get more life out of tires. The last thing off the top of my head is the fact that it's simply restricted. I mean, when you run a limited edition motorcycle, and I get it, the R is more exclusive, it's more expensive, and it's more rare, and they wanted to keep that unique. But even the H2 version for the street, I mean, those throttle bodies should not be closing. I mean, if you're going to run a special limited edition, then we should get the full deal. I could understand if they lowered the red line instead of 14,000 RPM like the R, maybe they lowered it to 12 or 12.3 or something to that effect. But to close the throttle bodies and then having to flash it just to get them to stay open, it's just whack. I'm not really thrilled about that. And I decided that I will eventually get the software and flash it myself and get those throttle bodies to stay open. But the fact that that even needs to be done in the first place is a letdown for me. But these are the main gripes. Um, and we're splitting hairs here. I mean, it's still a quality bike, and the riding experience is really awesome, and anybody who has one of these will be happy with it. There may be other things, for those of you watching, maybe you would have picked the styling, maybe you would have styled it differently. Um, you know, but the styling, everybody has their own personal preferences. One thing though that it doesn't have is a belly pan, and that's extra insurance, especially when you're doing track days. You don't want to have your oil filter come loose or oil drain plug kind of back out and oil the track. Being able to have that oil catch pan is nice to have. So for Kawasaki to especially market their R version to be track only, and for it not to have a belly pan, and for the exhaust to be so loud, um, those are issues. Those are issues that need to be addressed. A lot of people can't even use their R on a track because it's louder than most tracks will allow. So these are all things that you would have to consider if you were in the market for either the H2 or the H2R. But with that said, there are aftermarket baffles, I guess, where you can make the exhaust quieter. Kropovich makes an exhaust that's quieter that should pass tech most tracks. There are ways around it, if you have an R version. But as far as the street is concerned, it's still very nice. And, I think a lot of guys probably get wrapped up in the hype trying to make it as fast as an R or to make it even beat an R. But all that said, it is an enjoyable machine. Appreciate it for what it is. It's not a super sport. It's different. It's radical, and outside of those 5 things or so, I can't really say there's much else I would change. So that's my opinion. Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Make your own decisions. If you're on the fence about buying these things, I love it. I think you will too. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. And I'll be posting some vids soon with my runs to the dyno, getting the custom maps made for pump gas and race fuel. And I'll also do a video when I get around to flashing the ECU as well. I'm going to do that myself, and I'll take you guys along for the ride with me as I do that. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time.